this video, I'm going to be talking about the type of light that I use for colored pencil drawing, going over the pros and cons to it, and I'm also going to be talking about what it is that I like so much about it because I've been using it for 4 years now and I really love it. Now, one thing I want to mention is that I am not sponsored by Trond to do this video at all. These are the lights I've been using for the last 4 years doing all of my colored pencil drawings, lots of hours and hours of drawing, and I really like these lights. And so I thought that I would do a video for you guys showing the kinds of lights that I use. So maybe if you want to get some really nice quality ones for yourself, that maybe you might want to get these also. If you are interested in getting this light for yourself, I have a link down in the description so you can go ahead and check that out. Let's go over some of the features for the Trond light. The light features a gooseneck that is 20 inches long that provides a good enough height for going over a tabletop to illuminate the desk space really well. It has a spring clamp so that it can clamp onto a table very easily. And not to mention that this is actually a very firm and strong clamp. I've been using these for 4 years and this clamp has never failed me. It's stayed nice and stiff and not become flimsy or loose at all. Another great feature to this light is that it has a touch design. You turn it on by touching the top of the light, essentially where it says Trond, where the power button is, and then to turn it off you put your hand on top and just hold it for a couple of seconds and it'll turn off. It has 3 different brightness settings that you can change by tapping the top of the light. This lamp also comes with a 6-foot long cable to plug it into the wall, which is very handy if you're trying to finagle around the back side of a desk and maybe your outlet is a little distance away from where your drawing table is. Alright, so now let's get into the pros for this light because it really is honestly a really awesome light to have for your drawing needs, whether that's particularly, in my case, drawing with colored pencils, or if you're doing graphite or anything else, even I would say if you're painting. When it comes to drawing with colored pencils, it really is important to have a nice natural light so that you can see the colors that you're working with really well. If you use a yellow type of light, or kind of what comes standard in most lighting fixtures for houses or most table lamps, the bulbs give off a yellow cast, which gives off a yellow cast to your drawings. And when you're working with colored pencils and trying to get those colors accurate, then your colors are going to be often a little bit more yellow. So not only is it going to influence your drawing in itself and the end result from when you're drawing it, but it's also going to be interfering with the choices you're making looking at your actual drawing. You're not going to quite see the exact colors that everything is. So it's really important to try and get a light that has natural light or is as close to daylight as you can get. And this Trond light does that for you. This is an LED light, so that means that it doesn't burn up a lot of energy, and the light bulbs actually last really long. Another really important thing to have when it comes to lighting for colored pencil drawing or drawing in general is to make sure that you have a really bright light. So not only does this light have those 3 different brightness settings, which I find extremely handy when it comes to drawing because you've seen that I use 2 of them. So oftentimes I will have one at one setting to kind of illuminate on a lighter scale at a certain angle, and then the other one I'll have at the brightest setting to have a lot more light creating shadows. So that way there's kind of a balance of the lighting so that I can get some really quality shots for the videos that I record for my drawings. Now these lights go up to 1000 lumens, which is really bright light. This is a fantastic light. As you can see, they just really light up a dark room. This is my room here, my studio, where I have these set up on my drafting table, of course. I have no other lights on in the room, and this is how well they're lighting everything up, which is actually really bright. Another pro to this light is that it has a protective fabric around the clamp to prevent the table from getting damaged when you clamp it to a table. Now I clamp mine to glass, which it's also handy for that as well, just so that the metal of the clamp isn't grinding and scratching on the glass. I think if you had a wood table, you might be a little more concerned with something like that happening because wood is softer than glass, but the fabric that they have around there is going to help protect your table, which is so handy. Now, another pro for this light is the 20 inches of the gooseneck that allows you to bend them to pretty much any angle that you want for drawing. It's super fantastic. This makes it so convenient to use for drawing. As I mentioned before, I use two lights, have one at one brightness setting and another one at another brightness setting. And I also have them at different angles to help with the different lighting situations. So I can completely customize my whole lighting situation and change it up however I want to. Now, the biggest pro to this light is that it is non-flickering. Hands down, the best thing that you're going to want for drawing in general, not just colored pencils, but in general, is a light that is not flickering. And that is going to help you out in multiple ways. Not only is it going to affect your eyes in a positive way, because then you won't have headaches or it won't irritate your eyes. Sometimes with certain lights, you can spend a lot of time around them or underneath them or with them shining on your face, and you'll end up getting a headache, you'll feel tired, you'll feel agitated, and that's because I'm not an expert on lighting, but I know that it has to do with the speed that the light is being emitted, something like that. And certain lights are a little too slow, and so it causes a flickering. And there are actually some lights that you could turn your eyes to the side and not look directly at the light, and you can actually see out of the peripheral of your vision a little bit of flickering. And that's essentially what those cheaper quality lights do. They're very irritating. They're awful for your eyes in trying to draw for long periods of time. There is no way I could spend hours and hours under those kinds of lights drawing. But this light, the Trond light, does not flicker, and so that really helps out with your eyes and long-term drawing. Now, the other great aspect to it is really kind of what I more sought out for it. Not necessarily just because it's not going to affect my eyes negatively, it is actually not going to negatively impact camera footage. So that is one thing that our eyes have trouble picking up, that flickering, which is why we don't see it when we look directly at lights, but you maybe sometimes can see it out of the peripheral of your vision. Cameras pick it up, and that is why a lot of professional camera people, filmographers, whichever, they prefer having lighting that doesn't flicker because the cameras will pick it up, and that will create kind of that contrasting, that flickering in videos that you see for lower quality lighting that sometimes some people have. And it's just an absolute no-go when it comes to filming. So for the fact that I professionally do tutorials for my drawings. If you've been following my channel for a while, I offer tutorials on Patreon. And in order for me to have quality videos that aren't bothering people with flickering, some people have seizures from that too. So that's really important. But it doesn't cause any issues for me filming my drawings, which is awesome. Now, I really tried to think hard about the con to this light, or cons, I should say, but honestly, I really like them a lot. I would totally buy another one if one of these stopped working, because LEDs don't last forever, although they do last for a long time. But the only con that I could think of for this light is the fact that the spring clamp kind of limits the depth or the thickness of the table that you can clamp it to. So any tables that are probably about over 2.5 inches, you're gonna have a hard time getting this light on there or to stay on there. And in that case, it's probably not going to be the light for you. You'll want to try shopping around for a light that maybe has a C-clamp instead. But if your table is 2.5 inches or less, this is going to be an awesome light for you. Now, the price of this light is about $30, which is a really great cost for how high of quality it is. You're getting a 1000 lumens light, which is close to daylight, and it is non-flickering, which is so important when it comes to lights for drawing. Let me know what your thoughts are about this light, or what you look for in a light for drawing. Want to learn how to draw wildlife and pets with colored pencils? You can learn how to draw highly detailed, realistic drawings from my real-time tutorial videos on Patreon for as little as $5 a month. Sign up to get instant access to a growing video library with new ones added each month. A link is right here on the screen. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.